Were you in a limousine traveling somewhere after the memorial service?
Yes.
Who else was in the limousine with you?
Lyle, Eric, and cousin Carlos.
What is your recollection as to when this conversation occurred? Was it before or after the memorial service?
After the memorial service. I wasn't in the limo with them before.
Do you remember where you were physically seated inside of the limousine?
Yes. Lyle was to my left, Eric was across from him, Carlos was across from me.
Okay, and what did Lyle Menendez say to you as you were returning from the memorial service?
His right leg was crossed over the front of his left leg, and he said, "Hey, Marzi, who said I couldn't fill my father's shoes?"
Did you respond to him?
I did. I said, "Make your own tracks in life. Don't try to fill his shoes." And Lyle said, "You don't understand. These are my father's shoes."
And when he said these are my father's shoes, did he make any indication towards his feet?
His foot was kind of flexing. I looked at that. I looked at Eric, who was his muscles were tense in his face. I looked at cousin Carlos.
And then did Lyle Menendez have any conversation with cousin Carlos at that time after he made that comment to you about the shoes?
He did. He then proceeded to discuss a tennis tournament that was taking place and how he wanted to get tickets to the tournament, and this was for the following week.
At the time that you saw Lyle Menendez in this limousine, do you recall whether or not he was wearing a wristwatch?
Well, yes, I do, because I was able to see it.
Could you tell us from what you could see what the watch looked like?
It was a very nice-looking watch, a very lovely watch.
Was it a metal strap or was it a...
I don't remember the strap. I remember the face of it, which, God, it was lovely.
Okay, do you know what brand it was?
I really don't, but it was very, very nice.
Let me ask you a few questions about the conversation that you said you overheard in the limousine. Who is the first person in the Beverly Hills Police Department or working with the prosecution that you told that statement?
Would have been Detective Zoller.
Was it in 1989 that you told him that?
Yeah, I would think so. It was a very bizarre conversation.
Something that stuck out in your memory, and you, of course, told Detective Zoller about it shortly after it happened?
I believe so.
Isn't it true that the first time you told anyone about that conversation was on November 21st, 1993?
What conversation that
The
took?
conversation that took place in the limousine.
I doubt that.
And you had just left the memorial service when this conversation took place?
Yes, we were on our way to the Bel Air Hotel.
And was the statements that you overheard Lyle Menendez made loud enough so that Carlos Menendez could have heard them?
I would think so. Carlos looked at me. We looked at each other, so he probably did hear it.
Did Eric Menendez look at you?
No, Eric was looking out the window.
And do you recall what kind of shoes he had on that day?
Yes, they were a loafer with a tassel.
Do you know Mrs. Maria Menendez?
Yes?
Was she in the limo during the time that you say this conversation
No.
took place?
Just the four of us were in the limo and the driver.